All right, so normally we do a sound check, so I guess we're going to do a sound check.
This sound check is brought to you by Cheerios Crockpot.
Check.
You may not know who Cheerios Crockpot is,
Check.
but Oster does. And what Oster does is it knows that 4-in-1 Downy can clean virtually 100% of your mouth with 101 things to learn in art school.
Check.
AJ always has the most interesting sound checks in the world. He literally just looks around what's in the house, and uses it as his sponsored sound check, right?
Quote unquote.
Yes. All right. Sound check is done. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek Podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our listeners in the United States and around the world. I am Walt, and I am joined here by our more than capable hosts and our geek extraordinaires, AJ and Eli. Guys, say hi.
This is it was the so you had it's the Banished that's now. The Covenant was back then, but there was one in the middle that was really cool.
Those are way back then.
No, they were back in Halo 4.
Okay, there you go.
Oh God, they
Flood?
No, it was another faction that was run by elites right after. It was during Halo 4. Whatever, saying Healy AJ.
Hello?
Tremendous.
What?
Oh wait, what's his name?
Tremendous.
Oh,
That's like Trump.
Tremendous.
It's like Trump and his braggadocious. Jesus
Okay.
Christ, what is that?
Tremendous Eli. There you go. Tremendous.
Oh.
Tremendous. Oh my God.
Well, I'm going to quote Esheram from the Waze navigation app, right?
Man.
They think we're the spider. They think we're the flies. Nah, I messed up. Okay, let me try that again.
Spiders, but where the
Again. That was bad. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. Esheram from the Waze navigation app. They think we're the flies, but we're the spiders.
Oh my gosh. They think we're the flies. I mean, they think we're the
Wait.
spiders, but we're the flies.
There's a speed trap ahead. They think we're the flies, but we're the spiders.
That is
Or
insane.
something like that, right?
They
Yeah.
think we're the flies, but we're the flies.
Yes. It's like YTP.
Yeah, that's what I was going for.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is big.
So today, we are pulling double duty. We are part of two podcasts, and guess what? We are combining the two podcasts because the Get Geek Podcast normally is us plus Wolfie and Jose. Wolfie is out in California getting his black belt in jiu-jitsu. What?
Woohoo!
Yes.
And Jose is on hiatus. He will be joining us back in January. So we're holding down the fort for both podcasts. So this is going to be a podcast combo collaboration.
Yeah.
Double the fun, double the podcast.
Yeah.
So this is the CrossGen
Basically.
Podcast. And this is the Get Geek Podcast. Guys, what's up?
Hello. How is
Goodbye.
it going?
So for the people who
Yes.
normally listen to the CrossGen Podcast, say hello to our Get Geekers. And for the guys that normally listen to the Get Geek Podcast, say hello to our CrossGeners.
Yes.
That's weird, right?
Yes.
It sounds like you're saying, like, those celebrities, the Jenners.
Oh, God. No,
The
please.
Jenners. Jesus Christ.
Jeez. Keeping
Oh,
up,
no, the Kardashians.
keeping up with the CrossGeners.
Oh, my gosh.
Ugh.
Cross-Jenners.
I think I threw up a little bit in my mouth just now.
Oh, that is
okay.
disgusting.
Anyway,
That is evil.
5 minutes into the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Halo Infinite, the campaign. The campaign just recently came out this week. Well, last week if you're listening to it, to us. And we've got some stuff to say about it, right? But before we do, I will have to do a little bit of podcast maintenance by saying, please remember to review, rate, and subscribe to both podcasts, the Get Geek Podcast and the CrossGen Podcast. That is the best and easiest way that you can help out these two little podcasts here, because it gives us a good sense of what we're doing right and how well we're doing it. And of course, if you ever feel like reaching out to us, or if you have any questions, please remember to use our social media, drop us a DM, and we will respond. Anyway, let's get into the podcast here. We're going to be talking about Halo Infinite, the campaign. But before we do, I do have to address one little thing.
Yeah, what's that?
Multiplayer. Now, we've played
Uh-oh.
multiplayer, right? We've tried
Yeah.
multiplayer. We weren't the biggest fans of multiplayer, but then again, we're not really into the multiplayer esports scene type
At
of
least
thing, right?
not me.
I am, of course.
So, Eli, I already know AJ's thoughts of multiplayer. He's not a fan of it. That's not his thing. This was weird, but when Halo came out, the multiplayer portion of it, he wasn't all that interested in jumping in.
I don't think you even played it.
No,
at
I did.
first.
Well,
So
at
you
first, no, I did not.
Yeah, at first you didn't play it at all. But yeah.
What about you, E? What did you think about the multiplayer? Really, really quick.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. I mean, at least for me, it's fun, and like obviously I don't have anything to compare it to since I don't really I haven't played the previous games, but I mean overall it's enjoyable. It's not bad. It's a change, but it's not necessarily a bad change either.
Actually, that's where you're wrong. We, once upon a time, we did finish Combat Evolved's campaign.
What's Combat Evolved?
The very first
Very
Halo
first
game
one.
ever.
Oh yeah. Well, we did do that.
And we did a portion of Halo 2's campaign.
Mhm.
Never finished that. And
Yeah.
of course, we haven't done 3, 4.
Well-
We'll skip 5 forever.
Yeah.
Reach. And I'm not. ODST is okay. Some people like it. Me, I'm not a big fan of it. But
Well,
it's still good.
In terms of multiplayer, though, I've never really done. Well, you know what? That's cap. I have
You've done Halo 3.
Halo 3, and I'm not gonna
You've
say.
done Halo 4, actually.
I'm not gonna say Halo. I don't think it was the. Well, there's forget it. Yeah, I've done Halo 3 and 4.
Okay. So the Halo Infinite multiplayer dropped way, way back on November 15th. And since then, things haven't been going so well, especially over in the Reddit community, because they literally had to shut down their Reddit because of toxicity issues.
Okay.
To the point where people were getting death threats and being doxxed on the thread.
The heck are they
Hmm.
complaining about?
So multiplayer is a very interesting thing because this is the first time that Halo multiplayer came separately, right? It's almost, they kind of followed the Call of Duty Warzone strategy, where they're kind of pulling them out together, even though it's on one app. But what they did was they released multiplayer first. Campaign was released, like I said, this week or last week, depending on when you listen to this podcast. That came out December 8th, right? So almost an entire month before we got the campaign. the multiplayer has also gone free to play. So you don't have to buy Halo Infinite to play multiplayer, which again is kind of like the way Call of Duty did with Warzone. One of the things that people are really, really disliking about Halo Infinite and the multiplayer is the Battle Pass.
I would see why.
The
Because
Battle
it is
Pass is
hot
a
garbage.
it is a real point of contention for the Halo community. They dislike it to no end. Some of the other things are the playlist, and they're not crazy about it. In short, multiplayer, to use a phrase that you just used, is a hot mess over there, and people are absolutely going bonkers over it. Okay. The community director had to address it because it is getting really, really bad. And here's a direct quote. I understand and generally agree with the frustrations most are expressing, even if I don't agree with the attacks and ways in which some choose to express those feelings. It's my job to come in here, listen, and frankly take it on the chin. And despite personally being put off by the way in which many are expressing themselves, still ensure that we are advocating for players internally. We do that regardless of it being positive or negative, and always will. And he also asked players to please take a breath and understand that there are human beings behind this who put years of their lives into just trying to make the best experiences that they can. So it's almost gotten to the point that it's almost like a crisis within the community. They hate the progression system. They can't stand the battle pass.
Yeah.
They've really it like I said, it's gotten to the point where people were so frustrated that they had to lock down that Reddit thread. I mean,
It's one. I hate to say that. Of course, the death threats is not something you want to do. It's just not cool to begin with. But you know what? They have a point. Each game in matchmaking, we when we went to our cousin's house, right? Just completing one, whether you no, it's always whether you win. You have to win. That's never changed. Completing one, if I remember correctly, is 50 points. To get just past level 1, you need like a grand total of what? 5,000 points?
Yeah, I think
Give or
it was
take?
something around that.
that is an eternity in terms of video games play, right?
And then the worst part is when you actually unlock level 1, you get jack crap. You
So
barely get
all
a
that
color.
grinding, right? All
The
that grinding
grinding-
for nothing.
Exactly. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. The leveling system has been grindy in the past, but this is like
Super extreme.
it's I can't even use the word terrible. That doesn't do it justice.
You have to
It's
buy it.
beyond terrible.
Yeah, you have
So
to
the
buy
free to play is not really free to play then.
I mean, it's still free to play. That's all the things.
Okay, but
all
that's
the
the
things
same-
on the battle pass are cosmetics. It's not really something you necessarily need. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for a community like Halo, where you kind of like, it's almost like its own cosplay
You have to pay.
within Halo, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that people are kind of they trend towards, right? Is the fact that you can make your own character and have it being individual to who you are.
They also restrain the coloring system way too much. Like they have preset color schemes instead of you picking and choosing what your first, secondary, and emblem colors are. Well, I mean, to a point, you can choose your emblem colors. You can choose the colors, but like, if you want to get like super detailed, you really can't.
Right?
And then just like, oh god, even the armors. Getting the armors is the worst thing.
Well, wasn't it also a point that when multiplayer dropped, some of the things were behind the paywall of you have to unlock them playing the campaign, which still wasn't released yet? right?
Yeah.
So that kind of can be pretty frustrating also, because you see an armor that's like super awesome, but you can't do it because there is no physical way possible to get that, because campaign had not even been released, right?
Yeah.
So listen, the multiplayer, I gather what you're gonna have to say is, you know what, this is the first time they're trying it, so kudos on them for trying something different, but the way they approached it didn't work.
Bad execution.
Right. So hopefully if they do decide to come back and do this in the future, maybe they'll learn from their mistakes of this multiplayer fiasco.
Don't make the progression system too grindy. No one likes that, especially in an already demoralizing matchmaking arena. Like, it's just such a kick in the stomach, in the groin, in the face, in the back.
Honestly, for me,
coming from all sides.
I don't see anything wrong with the multiplayer. It's mainly just the battle pass, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Well, there you go. All right, so we're gonna transition here because I think we can all agree that multiplayer is easily the weakest part of Halo Infinite. Maybe somebody needs to go and speak to Craig about that. Maybe he can fix it. Craig the Brute, right?
Jesus Christ.
But as bad as multiplayer seems, right, we got to talk about the campaign, which came out a couple of days ago on December 8th. That, for the most part, is a complete 180 of multiplayer. I think a lot of people are having a lot of fun with the campaign, which traditionally is probably the most important part of Halo, right?
Yes.
Okay, the story. So let's talk about the campaign, because I've done like about maybe 6 hours worth of campaign run. I'm probably like 15% progressed into the story. How long have you played it for, AJ?
Regrettably 5%.
Okay.
Or 5% or so.
So you're talking about maybe what, like 2 or 3 hours that you were able to get some into it? What about you, Eli? I know you started today, right before the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
How long did you get to play the campaign?
He got somewhat close to where I am, but he's still a bit behind. So that's easily a good 1.5, 2 hours right there.
Okay.
Yeah, so
the only problem is that you were dying all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's frame how we're playing it. I'm playing it on normal, okay? Because I'm not the biggest, and best FPS player. I'll freely admit that. But both of you guys are playing it on heroic, right?
Yes.
Did you try legendary? I know Eli said that he was going to try it on legendary.
No.
Did you ever do that?
Mm-mm.
What happened? You chickened out?
No. I just wanted to get through the story. First off, and
so you went heroic instead.
Yeah, heroic.
Wow.
Which is kind of stupid. I'm thinking about starting it over and doing a legendary, but I
the
don't.
rate you were dying.
Yeah, whatever.
So let's talk about the camp. So that's where we are. We're playing it on 2 different systems. You're playing it on the Xbox One X. We're playing it on the Xbox One. Okay. But I would have to say, not a bad experience at all. It looks awesome, right? Plays awesome. So let's talk about it. Campaign. The campaign starts with a very, very long, and what would you call that? A tutorial, an intro? What is that?
I have my own thoughts on the intro, but yes, it is the intro.
Well, interesting that you say you have thoughts on it, because there's a lot of people that are actually complaining about that intro.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Okay. Why do you feel that it's not the greatest way to start Halo Infinite?
First of all, the game, it runs fine, but here's the problem. Traditionally, Halo Wars has kind of been not canon, but it was ancillary to the story. Like, it enriched the story much in the way the Old Republic used to do. Connected, but slightly disconnected. What they've done here is made the game they made, 343, Halo Wars 2, an essential part of the story.
That's weird.
Because at the very beginning, you see Master Chief going toe-to-toe with the staple villain of Halo Wars 2. Only game he's ever been in, as far as I'm recalling.
Mm-hmm.
Atriox. And you have no idea, other than the fact that Master Chief kills Covenant kills Covenant alien guys, and Atriox doesn't like him because he kills alien Covenant guys. You just get dropped in there.
Mm.
Like, I had, again, regrettably, I played the trash fire that is Halo 5, and I was still lost because it turns out a lot of stuff happened in Halo 2 that apparently leads into Infinite. So, like, very bad way to start because I'm lost. And for those of you who why didn't you just play Halo Wars 2? Well, I don't know. There were bad reviews about it, first of all. Second of all, it's just I don't know. Like,
They didn't mention it was canon at all.
At least I never got the memo that the game series that's traditionally not heavily canon is super canon now.
And what is it? Wait, you're talking about Halo 2?
Halo Wars 2. Not Halo 2, that's essential canon.
Okay.
Clearly, it's Halo 2.
Mm.
But this is Halo Wars 2 that I'm talking about.
That's definitely weird.
I don't like that I was just dropped into this way. Not a good start.
So it's interesting because there is actually a Kotaku article based on it's an article just on the opening, and let me read you the title of that. Halo Infinite's campaign opening is awful.
Okay.
Just to kind of jump on your points here. One of the quotes that they say, it's the most bizarre and troubling, oblivious decision by 343 that they thought that everyone playing would remember the climactic events of Halo 5 in such detail that they'd recognize they weren't supposed to know what was happening here. There's some guy we don't know who talks to Master Chief about a war we don't remember with an enemy that only previously appeared in Halo Wars 2. It's like being trolled.
Yeah, see, because I didn't like Halo 5. I still played it. I know what happened. None of that seemed to follow through here.
It does seem a little disconnected. It's and I think the beginning of Halo Infinite is supposed to serve as what they do in kind of like TV shows where you start with a cold open, right?
Mm.
But the problem is that this doesn't seem to connect to anything that we've seen previously, except for, like you said, Halo Wars 2, which probably not a lot of fans have played it. And you said it wasn't that very good, so word of mouth wouldn't have driven people to play it either way, So why would they choose to use a game that's kind of universally panned within the Halo franchise and use that as the jumping point for the campaign? I mean,
in fairness, though, here's what I will say.
Okay.
In fairness, though, because we actually got to play just a tiny smidgen, like the skirmish mode of Halo 2 over at our cousin's house.
Wars.
Yes, Halo Wars 2.
Mm-hmm.
And according to what he said, because he follows a lot of this stuff like a journalist will follow the president.
Okay.
Like he's like super on the news when it comes to like gaming and stuff. Halo Wars 2, when it came out, was not great. That is true. But apparently, it had gotten better after that.
Like a lot of games do, because they release it crappy and then they build it back better.
But then, like, I didn't know that. And see, that's the thing. This kind of just slid completely under the radar.
Well, I think that's probably one of the bigger faults of the video game industry, especially within the last, maybe 5 to 10 years, is that they've gotten to the point where they're willing to release beta products to the the fans and stuff like that, with the promise that things will get better. And what ends up happening is that those fans are so turned off by the initial product that they never go back to it. So maybe just like you heard how bad the initial release of the game was and figured, you know what, there's no reason for me to revisit this at any point in the future, because it's I'm not going to be following updates on whether they've improved this or that or whatever. I'm just going to assume that, hey, the game came out bad, it's going to stay bad, And I think that's something that really the video game industry at large should probably take a look at, because you're turning off potential fans and consumers of your product by releasing something so bad at the beginning with the promise, hey, we'll fix it, give us about 6 months to a year. People don't have that type of patience when there's so many other things out there that they can consume, So, okay, maybe Halo Wars 2 ended up being better than expected, but just listening to the way you're talking about it, once you heard it was bad, who cares? I'm never going back to check it out. Unless I happen to go to my cousin's house who happens to have the game, and then he'll be like, "Oh, it's actually pretty better," and then you'll be like, "Oh, okay, now I get it."
Yeah, exactly. And again, like I said, the Wars continuity, as far as I was concerned at that point, was not like super heavily steeped in the story. Like, just to give you a perspective of what I'm talking about. The first Halo Wars was set in the Halo universe, but it had absolutely nothing to do with Master Chief. Apparently, Halo Wars 2 changed that.
Okay.
Because at least the way I'm looking at this and knowing how heavily Atriox is important to that story, seeing the beginning of this game and him facing down with Chief, it kind of just, it tells me, okay, so this ended up being really important after all.
Okay.
And for goodness sake, the Infinity, which was a battleship that premiered in 4, was seen in 5, is now gone.
You really don't like Halo 5, do you?
No, I don't.
So no Guardians for him.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so we've established that the story appears to, at least from what we've seen, to follow heavily the events of Halo Wars 2. I would say this: if you're going to do something like that, then you know what? Maybe you need to have a previously on type of thing, right? Maybe not as blatant as that, but you know what? Drop a little bit of what the events that you're referencing, like maybe flashbacks or cutscenes of that nature, which goes back to Halo Wars 2 and said, look, this is what happened here. This is why this is happening now. You know what I mean? So that's the way that I look at this. It's probably not the best way that 343 Industries could have approached this fact, but it is what it is, right? So, barring that, Eli, you took your time with the beginning of the campaign. What were your early thoughts of the campaign?
I don't know. It's boring, to say the least. I mean, it's That's it. That's all you can really say. It's just boring. Flat out boring. There's nothing to it. Shooting just a bunch of people. Mini boss was okay. I beat him in 1 attempt, surprisingly enough. Or 3 attempts, actually. But, I mean, otherwise, there's just nothing to it. It's flat. There's nothing.
Yeah. See, there's a reason why it's flat, though. You haven't finished Halo 2.
Yeah.
You haven't finished Halo 3. You haven't even touched Halo 4. Don't
True.
touch Halo 5. You haven't touched any of the campaigns, so none of this bears any weight to you.
Yes, I know. But you would think that they could almost recap you on everything, catch you up, keep you up to speed, right?
Dude,
Would
the
they
amount
not?
you're missing, that's
But they
not a
should.
recap you can do.
They
Well,
should.
I will say this. And this is something that we had spoken about previously regarding how they built Halo Infinite in terms of the campaign and the level of difficulties and what they were trying to do to make it accessible to new fans. So if that's the case, then I have to agree with Eli in a sense that if you're explicitly looking for new fans, if you're going to drop them into a story that's this deep and this complex, there should be a little bit of going back and giving you the knowledge of what happened previous to this game. Now, whether that could be, and I don't think of any game that's ever done this, but maybe like a short previously on video, which kind of recaps the story so far in terms of Halo, or at least, like I said before, drop it in flashbacks, and that would probably be the best way to keep it within the story.
There is actually a game that does that.
Which one?
God of War. God of War 3 did it.
There you go. I mean, that's something that is pretty simple, especially if they've said it implicitly. We're looking to bring in new fans into the Halo franchise. So if that's the case, that's the equivalent of you trying to jump into the Marvel Studios 10-year thing by jumping in on Infinity War. It's kind of like that. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Okay, fair enough. Fine.
So there should have been a little bit more of an effort by 343 in terms of trying to get people up to speed on what's happening, especially if we're going to be using a somewhat obscure game in the franchise that really not a lot of people have played as your focus for the story. That's what I'm saying. I think that's not too much to ask, right? But I guess it didn't happen. So Eli's a perfect example. He's not as well versed in the Halo universe. So Halo Infinite doesn't have that.
Doesn't have any
emotion. He doesn't have an emotional connection to the story. So for him, it's like, it's just like any other shooter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely didn't hook me at all.
Fair enough. I mean, listen, if you're, like I said, if you're jumping onto Marvel Studios on Infinity War, the relationships that Clint Barton has with Natasha Romanoff and Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, they don't land as much because you're seeing them for the first time. It's like, okay, two dudes, they're fighting against each other. Him and her, they're having a past. I don't know what it is, but whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Although Estraton, whatever face, he's kind of cool. Escaron, he's sick as hell. Sick as all hell.
Well,
bro.
he's been guiding us in the car in terms of navigation for a while, so we've gotten to know him a little bit better, right?
Yes, he is sick as all hell, bro.
He actually is right now, and we've seen very, very little of him, but he's actually becoming one of my favorite characters in Halo right now.
Same for me, honestly.
He's one of those badass, but he seems very meticulous. He seems very calculating.
Yeah.
You know,
Very unlike his predecessors.
and that'll be interesting, especially as we progress along with the story mode. So you've gotten a little bit farther than Eli has, AJ, right? So what's your experience of the campaign so far? And especially you, because you are now really the biggest Halo fan in this household by far.
So, like, okay, here's the thing. The introduction really turned me off. But as I've been going, the one promise that seems to be keeping me going so far is fair enough. Escarum. I want to know more about him. Clearly, he's tied to this guy, Atriox, who almost beat Master Chief, but didn't. And I like this new dynamic that they're setting up. Oh, well, the Covenant was afraid of you. The prophets were ineffectual morons trying to destroy everyone, and we're not going to follow people like that anymore. We're not going to see you as the demon. We're going to see you as prey. And I like how he's clearly not afraid of the Master Chief, because unlike the very religious overtones that the Covenant had, he's like, you're flesh and bone. I'm going to kill you, bro. He's very down to earth despite being just a little bit, you can tell there's a little bit of that starry-eyedness in there. But it's not so much that it completely skewers his vision and what he needs to do and how he does it. Okay. There's that. But otherwise, so to jump on the open world aspect now, it's pretty good. The only thing that I will have a gripe about is, so we've spoken about this even before the podcast too. There's this thing, it's called the tower, right?
Oh my god!
You really, really don't like that whole aspect of it. But please continue. Let
it looks like a very threatening, well-defended, last stand type base. That's going to be the end point of the game. So I figured, oh, okay, I'm going to have a really bad lapse in judgment right now and mosey on over there. Because I'll probably get destroyed by some really swanky anti-air guns, or maybe I'll get met out on the battlefield by a brute chieftain or something. I go over there, and there's only one brute, a Joe Schmo.
It's not Craig, is it?
I'm going to say that it was Craig's long-lost brother, Deg.
Oh my god.
Oh, Lord.
Dig. Yes.
I killed Deg with my pinky. And then I proceeded to climb all, 2, 3, 4 levels of this tower. Not a soul in sight. Not one. Just Deg holding down the fort.
Maybe they were all on siesta, sleeping it off after a rough night of bruteness.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I get that this is probably one of those things where I have to do more of the progression, but come on, man.
Well, there is actually something there. I mean, I'm looking at it now. Apparently, if you climb this really... Is this the one that you're talking about? It should look like this.
I can't... I need to see the full body view.
But I just searched it up now, the tower, Halo Infinite. Let me search it up real quick. But, yeah.
The whole point is... This thing looked like I should not go near it, but I went near it, dared. Yeah, that pretty much looks like it. It's a fortress.
There's something on the top of it.
Apparently. I did not go all the way up because I was so bored at there not being anyone there that I left immediately.
But apparently there's a Halo Infinite. There's a tower skull. I don't know what these skulls do.
So it's not even...
Oh, that's those are oh God. So...
Oh,
for
like when you-
The
multiplayer.
skulls, period, they're like certain boosts. Like
Yeah.
catch makes grunts throw more grenades at you. Iron makes it so that your shields regenerate less or something along those lines. Basically, they're kind of like power ups for the enemies.
Hmm.
But there are also skulls that are collectibles.
Mhm.
That sounds like one of those collectible ones.
I need to find out what it does.
So the tower is just basically a Toys R Us for Halo. At least that's what it sounds like.
But it's for something so
With one
important.
security guard.
Dig.
Yes.
Yes.
So I can't say anything about it because I did skip the tower completely because of the fact that I thought, much like you,
See?
it's probably not a good place for me to be there until I've leveled up a little bit, you know?
I went in there.
I went south.
I
I went south.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be honest. I went south. So,
I went in with just the Warthog, no gunner.
oh gosh. See, I went and I freed
Actually, no, I'm
or I
sorry.
helped some USNC forces.
I took a Warthog, went to one of those bases, wrecked that base, took a chopper, and then went there.
Okay.
So I steamrolled
gosh.
in there with a chopper, and it was just
For
Dave.
nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, again, clearly I didn't go all the way to the top, but after seeing Daig there, it was kind of turned off. But otherwise, I think so far there is something there. I just need to watch this goddamn Halo Wars 2 cutscene movie
Mhm.
and play the game more. But so far, it looks like they got some interesting stuff. Even though, again, I feel so lost.
Okay, so here's my impressions on this. I've played a little bit more than you guys, actually, probably more than you combined at this point. I had some free time this week, and so I've gotten pretty far. I've pretty much completed the majority of the lower left-hand side of the southern part of the map. So that's all said and done. You know, I'm moving upwards to the northern part, the left-hand side. I'm just like somewhere in the middle right now. I'm gonna say this. The open world for me is kind of like hit or miss. In the fact that, and again, maybe it's because of just the specific place that I'm in on the map, but it seems like, how can I say this? It feels to me like the very first Far Cry, where there was a lot of walking before you got to enemies, and then there was a lot of walking before you got to enemies, and a lot of walking before you got to enemies. So there are specific points, but I think I kind of miss the frenetic nature of Halo the way it used to be. This seems like it's a much more leisurely walk through the Halo universe, right? Because there is a lot of things where you have to grapple and you're climbing. You know, I really am not too great of a fan of the mountains and those weird platforms that are built into the mountain on this thing. And it's funny because this whole map is supposed to be based on the silent cartographer, right? That's the inspiration for Halo Infinite's map.
What was that? Halo 2 or 3? I feel
think
like it was one of those two.
Yeah, it was way back then, and that's the inspiration for this map. I just think that, you know, like I said, Halo for me, especially like, you know, those earlier games, they were very much frenetic rides, right? That you were on. You know, you're always running from one place to the other because there was a sense of urgency with Halo, right?
Mhm.
I don't get that from this game. And I think maybe that's kind of the reason why the open world is a little off-putting to me. But I do like the freedom of movement. I like the fact that we can go anywhere and stuff like that.
So it's actually even farther back. It's actually the silent cartographer.
The first one.
Yep, is a level from Combat Evolved, the fourth one.
Mm-hmm. So again, this is kind of 343, and you know, their quote unquote love letter to the earlier games, especially Combat Evolved, which makes sense because this is the 20th anniversary of the game, right? So there's that aspect of the open world. So I like the fact that there's kind of like a variety in a sense. There's like 3 different type of things that you can do on this map so far that I've seen, right? You can go and you can free one of those forward operating bases. Okay.
Mm.
You can go and find a base where the Banished are and kind of take over the place. And sometimes there's an objective to do there. And the third thing you can do is you can go and help the UNSC forces on the ring against the Banished. And either they're captured or they're in the middle of a fight and you're dropped in there. Those are the 3 main things that you can do on the Halo ring so far. I can see where that can kind of be a little bit repetitive at some point, especially if what they say is true, that this is probably anywhere between 10 to 20 or 30 hours, depending on how much stuff you do on Halo, right? So I can see where if you're doing only those 3 things and you're doing them all the time, it can get repetitive. So that's another thing. The last thing that I have a little bit of a criticism in terms of the open world is that it's just one open world. One of the great things about Halo is that you were dropped into different places, right? You had different, to use a Minecraft term, you had different biomes in Halo. You can
that's
either
true.
be in space, or you can be on the ground, or you can be in an underground thing, battling the flood and stuff like that. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen in this game. You're going to be on the Halo ring, and that's it. And I think I'm going to miss the diversity of the different places that Halo games in the past showed us. I don't see that happening in this game. So that's the one thing that I again, the open world seems like a good idea, but given everything that we've had Halo happen to us in the past, I'm a little disappointed that that's the only choice we have in terms of playing this campaign. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Well, now that you put it, I mean, to be fair, you are a little bit farther along in the story, but you still have another 75% to go. So that could easily change.
Mm-hmm.
But if it really turns out that you're just on this one section of the Halo ring and you can't go under, you can't go to a deserty part of it, you can't go to
I did find caves and tunnels.
An icy part of it, yeah. I don't know, that kind of Halo is better served as a linear objective game, because the whole thing with, you can make it open world, but the problem is with the wide berth of the types of places you can go to, that can become very overwhelming very fast. Like, you need to make it as big as a game as, what's that one, No Man's Sky?
Mm-hmm.
And that would take eons to make.
And I think the other thing is that we've already seen previous Halo games before, and we've been to different places. I think if this was the first in the Halo series, then maybe it'll be better served because we wouldn't know anything better.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've had Halo games and it's always been a frenetic pace getting to one place or another because the world was ending at some point. You know what I'm saying? This one, it seems more of like a leisurely ride through the ring, in a sense.
Yeah.
There's not that sense of urgency that other Halo games have had before.
In a sense, I can see that.
Okay, let's talk about the characters real quick. 2 in particular that I really wanna touch upon. The first one is the first guy that we meet, which is Echo 217 or something, or 216 or something like that.
I'm just gonna
pilot.
call him Echo.
Yeah, Echo.
Yeah, the pilot. And the other one that we see that is actually very, very important to the story is the weapon.
Oh. Oh, okay.
He got so like,
he's
he's gonna say, oh, he's not.
What were you thinking about?
Escaro.
No,
Wait,
because
Escaron?
we've talked about him already.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these two in specific because we haven't mentioned them before.
Yeah.
Echo and the Weapon. I've got my thoughts on both of them, but what do you guys think about them? Are they a good entry into the Halo universe, or can we do without them?
See, here's the thing with Echo. I get that he wants to go back to his family. It's a nice thing that kind of grounds him other than just being a soldier. But he never really acts like a soldier.
He's actually annoying to me.
He
Very.
kind of he almost feels like a deserter.
In a sense, because there's a point, there's literally a point, and I don't know if you've gotten up to it or not, that Master Chief, he's gonna infiltrate an installation, and the guy is like, "You're crazy! No, why are we doing this?" And you're flying in the ship above, and they're bombing the crap out of the ship, right? And he's like, "Oh, I'm not going all the way. I'm gonna drop you off here. I just want to go home. Why are we doing this?" It gets
Like, I mean, I again, I get
Yeah.
it, but like, damn, we need Sergeant Johnson.
And I think there's a point that Master Chief is like, you know what? You're a soldier. This is what we do. You know?
Mhm.
And the dude is like, no, I just want to go.
I mean, I get that, again, he's supposed to be the relational guy. Like, not everyone can be like Master Chief.
I get it.
He's
But
whining all the
it's
time.
just,
He is.
yeah.
He does. And
Jesus.
that's why I find him a little annoying. You know, I'm almost to the point now where if he's on the screen, I want to kind of like mute the TV because I really don't want to hear what he has to say. So, the Weapon, however, is a very interesting choice to bring into Halo.
Yeah. Again, vestige of Halo Wars 2 that apparently you need to know. Because, at least as far as Halo 5 is concerned, the very last thing I remember of Halo 5 is that Cortana was fully rogue and she escaped with like some killer Forerunner artifact. And she was in the wind. And the only thing that could stop her was I think they got in touch with one of the, not guilty sparks, but you know, those little Forerunner you know, the ones that, oh, I'm gonna help you but then shoot you the next minute type characters.
Yeah, those were the Sparks,
And-
right?
Yeah.
Boy, I haven't thought about those guys in a long time.
There was one in Halo 5 that was helping them, apparently. But I'm assuming, I don't remember that game very well, but from what I know, something like the Weapon, if not the Weapon herself, was developed in that game. Or maybe it was Halo Wars 2, I might be skewing it. But again, I've never played Halo Wars 2, so I wouldn't know.
Wait, hold on. I know, like, throughout the story, they start mentioning on how, like, Cortana, like, betrayed all of them. How exactly did that happen again?
So, let's go back a few games. In Halo 4,
Mhm.
Cortana started to suffer from something called rampancy.
Oh.
And rampancy is where, because AIs only have a shelf life of about 7 years. After that, they start to deteriorate and basically lose their minds.
That's when she goes red.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Halo 4, it looks like she, quote unquote, dies trying to save Master Chief. But it turns out she didn't quite die because she was tied to some forerunnery thing. And in that, she was basically able to perfect herself.
Mhm.
And so now, free of any directives and just completely acting with her own agency, she just decides, I'm going to help the universe my way. But the UNSC doesn't like that. And to be fair, her way is a little confrontational, kind of like the Chiefs. But it kind of takes it to a point where, we might need to actually stop her.
So this is in Halo 5,
That was Halo 5.
where they're trying to. Oh, so Cortana's like sort of like the enemy.
So here's
that
what
sense?
actually
Does
happens.
she go like Thanos?
Yeah,
Kind of.
that's kind of cool. That's not.
But see, the whole thing is that in Halo 5, it was mostly Locke versus Chief. But the reason why they were at odds is because Chief wanted to get to Cortana first. Because he thought maybe he could reason with her or whatever, But Locke's team and the actual UNSC proper were like, gotta go. And so that's where that friction came from.
So they tried. So they basically kicked out Chief.
Chief had quote unquote gone rogue. And
Okay.
Locke's team was sent to reel them back in or something stupid like that.
Okay.
But
So
that
that's-
was Halo 5 Guardians.
and that leads up to now where.
Well, barely leads up to. Because remember, between that is supposedly Halo Wars 2. Where that story got furthered even more.
Okay.
So do you like this new character? Well, quote unquote new character, weapon.
I think she's pretty. See what God damn it, what was I gonna say? What Echo was supposed to be, she does better. Because she's not annoying about it. At least I find.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She's more of a matter of fact in the way it is. I think it's better for her because she's a little bit more emotionally disconnected, whereas Echo, he's just all in with that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little much, at least in our opinion. Okay, so there you have it. There's one thing that I do want to mention that I really, really do like that I thought I wouldn't about Halo Infinite.
The grappling hook.
The grappling hook.
Oh man.
I thought that when they first announced it that it would be a gimmick and it would be something that it's like, okay, maybe it's something that's so non-Halo that I'm gonna hate it. I actually love using the grappling hook.
Yeah, it's grown on me too, to be honest.
I mean, I use it not only to get me to different places, but I also use it as an offensive weapon.
I don't use it like that at all. I just use it to Spider-Man around.
I love just grappling one of the either the grunts or one of the brutes, because grappling, when you grapple an enemy in the game, not only do you close the distance very, very quickly, it ends with a huge punch that kind of staggers them, and then right afterwards I get to use my favorite weapon in the game, the Mangler, with a shot right to the face. So it's almost like I've developed my own little combo here. I'm pretty sure a gazillion people do the same thing, but it just feels like it's like, whoa, check me out. Look what I'm doing, So I do like the mechanics of the grappling hook. It does change the way you play the game a little bit because it gives you access to different places that normally you would not be able to unless you had the jetpack. And even the jetpack was a little limited sometimes because it gave you that short burst, right?
Well, unless you turned it off.
Right. And as you progress, you get Spartan Cores, which reduce the cooldown of being able to use the grappling hook, which makes it even funner because now you can use them almost all the time, with impunity and stuff. So there's that. So listen, if this is how I feel, I'm enjoying Halo Infinite. I really am. And it may sound that I was being a little negative at the very beginning, especially when I was talking about the open world and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm still enjoying the game. I just don't think. I think that there could be a couple of things that need to be tightened up, and maybe there should have been more of a variety of things to do if you're going to do an open world, because that is what makes an open world not stale. If you're doing the same thing over and over again, it gets stale very, very quickly. So I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I do hope that there's some further variety down the line, because I can see a scenario where it's like, okay, here we go. I'm going into another base, rinse, repeat. Now I'm going to go save some UNSC guys, rinse, repeat. So let's hope that they do change that up. The reviews so far for Halo Infinite have been very, very positive.
I figured.
IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. And generally these scores are hovering between 80 and 90%. I think we can agree that that's around where Halo Infinite should be, right? So I don't think there's any discussion with that. Now, the thing I do want to ask, first of all, you guys did a co-op custom game. How'd that go?
I died more often than I should have, but again,
Wasn't even going all out.
Yeah, so you
Going
say,
1%.
quote unquote. I mean, I still have to get. I've been getting a little more used to the weapons, but I have a pretty solid grip on it. I just need to refine how I approach certain situations.
Bruh, the plays that I made in that end match.
But then there was the
I
one
see your
time with the
face.
wasp.
Huh? Oh, that stupid thing. That's only because you got lucky.
I got lucky
Because I didn't know how to. The thing with it is that the controls for not Legacy. I hate Legacy. It's
default.
garbage.
It's not garbage.
Default. I don't know how to fly anything. The Wasp. You have to figure it out. But like, I don't know. Maybe it was just me. But I don't know. Forget it. But the Wasp sucks.
And no, because I wiped you with
I
it.
still won. What was it?
You actually
I
didn't win
believe
that
it
one.
was
You tied.
13-3.
Yeah, that was without the
match.
wasp.
That was the end match where I destroyed you. You got absolutely destroyed.
Still destroyed you with that wasp, though.
But it was 13-3.
I mean, you
And
hold
then
that over. That's only one game out of how many total games you've played me and got absolutely
and the
wiped?
second one I had like 6-1 or 7-1, like freaking like a Barcelona play. 7-1. Jesus Christ. I mean, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Out of total, that's still pretty pathetic.
I had 3 wins out of like 5
of all time. I'm talking.
And the first one, it was like nothing. Neither of us won.
Okay, so let me ask this question: in terms of playing co-op against each other, does this replace Halo? What's the one your go-to when you're doing?
It's normally 4.
Do you see a scenario where this would replace Halo 4 as your go-to in terms of co-op play?
Hell yeah.
Me personally, no.
Hell yeah, for sure. This does.
Okay. So for you say no. Why?
Well, I think, again, it's because I'm so used to the way Halo 4 works.
In terms of the controls?
No, the controls are fine. I have my legacy, so I'm good with that.
Okay.
I guess it's just the feel of the weapons. The feel of the weapons this game around is they still feel pretty nerfed in some respects. And I don't like it.
Okay.
Like in Halo, like sure you can still take someone's shields down with an assault rifle, but I don't know, I just feel like it takes a little too long now still.
Okay. Eli, you're the opposite. You say that this will replace your Halo 4 co-op custom game.
Sure.
Okay. What is your reason?
Gameplay is like so much more different. Like before, like I felt like Halo had like it was just a sense of it wasn't really tactical per se. And I'm not gonna say Halo Infinite isn't tactical, but in a way, I mean, it's a little bit more tactical than the original games. Where basically, it was all about getting a vehicle and getting a rocket launcher, and then that was it. That was the end of the game. Where now in Halo Infinite, it's a little bit more balanced where you have to not think everything out, but you can use a little bit more strategy. Like the maps were like sort of conform to the sense that you can almost strategize your next play. So if he's going through here, I can circle around and then attack him. Halo 4, I'm not going to say it wasn't the same thing, but at the same time, it was more of an open field where all it was shooting each other and somebody survived. And that was it.
Okay.
So, and not even just that, they also have gameplay where like you can slide now. So if you wanna, it doesn't sound like much, but like you can now move around like much smoother.
You can slide into cover.
Yeah,
It's
you
more
can slide
dynamic.
into cover, and that's what I'm saying.
That's a pretty interesting dynamic.
Strategic.
You know,
Although it's too much like Call of Duty in a way.
That's fine. DLC is never a thing that really has happened in Halo. There's a possibility that we might be getting DLC here because this game is so distinctly different from the other games. You guys have any thoughts on DLCs or whether that's a good thing or a bad thing?
What the hell are they holding back?
Well, I will.
If they're holding something back, it better be damn well worth it.
I will gently spoil Halo Infinite because the game does end with the threat of a thing called the Endless. Okay. To the point
but it sounds
Stupid,
pretty
right?
cringy so
Yeah.
far.
But to the point that before the game's launch, Halo and 343 trademarked the word the Endless. So you know that that's probably going to be the next iteration of Halo Infinite.
Name sounds kind of stupid.
Well,
If
The
the
Endless.
name is called Infinite, the Endless,
You might as well just call
thematically it makes sense.
yes,
Uh,
I was
Death
just
Killer.
about to say that.
Death Killer.
You know, where
Christ.
the name does kind of follow Halo Infinite in a way. So DLC, maybe we get introduced to the Endless, or maybe there is something dealing with the Endless in the DLC that gets you excited. Maybe like an extended cutscene DLC type of thing where you're playing the cutscene
No.
that goes. I don't know.
Too much
I'm
cutscene
just saying.
already.
No, not cutscene, but like it.
No,
acts
like
a
say the
cutscene.
end of the very end of the game. Oh, look, the Endless! What a big threat they are! Ah, and then the DLC is I guess a special level based on that cutscene, giving you a preview of what fighting the Endless will be like.
No.
I'm still not good with that either.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So DLC in general may not work for this game for Halo. In a sense, we've never had it
Trying
before.
to monetize it too
absolutely.
much.
Absolutely,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
and I think that's where it is. We're gonna end this podcast with just a couple of little hints and kind of fun Easter eggs. Apparently, it behooves you to go into the caves.
You should go to the caves?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. You should look around in the caves.
Okay.
You should look for cracks and crevices in the caves.
Okay.
Because if you do, not only will you be finding things like the original Xbox console
Ayo.
in the caves. So
Okay.
this was discovered
Kinda
by a player. He found the original Xbox in a small gap inside the cave, but more importantly, and there are others, you can find plushies of characters like the Arbiter.
Ayo.
And you can even find a Halo arcade machine. Okay? But to me, the best part of the Easter eggs in
coming.
Halo. What?
I know he's coming.
Who?
No, just say it. Just say
No,
it.
tell me.
Craig.
You're never, you know.
Oh my god.
It would be nice. And I think that has to, if somebody out there can find Craig,
No,
Please?
that's what the DLC should be.
Oh,
The Craig DLC. He's like
yes.
the life and
Oh my
times of
God.
Craig.
No, they can give him a Tartarus style level in Halo 2
Yo.
where you have to like time your shots to like take down his shield, but instead of just like being completely invulnerable, not only is he completely invulnerable, not only is he holding a gravity hammer, he's holding two and can shoot darkness eye beams.
No, not. And then
Oh
in
my
the second
God.
stage, because there's multiple stages, he just drops everything, and it'll be like a cutscene, and all of a sudden the weapon is starting to glitch out, and Master Chief, no, and Craig, all of a sudden, and an aura stops, and aura stops. Jesus Christ, an aura starts to flow through him, and white eyes, and Master Chief has to take off his helmet to see it. And it's just an unveiling. And then all of a sudden, Craig just goes like this. Force chokes him. Master Chief falls to the floor, and he's dead. And then Craig just stands over him, just like Fusion Zamasu. And it, like with the pose, and he just... A light happens in the sky.
You know, telekinesis isn't actually that far out of the realm of possibility. It's been done in the Halo games.
Really?
I would just be happy with a Craig
cool.
DLC. Not to get off topic of the Easter eggs, but I would just be happy of a Craig DLC of just having Craig doing Craig stuff on the Halo ring. And just so you know, the Halo ring does have a name. It's called Zeta Halo.
Zeta?
Yeah, you know, Alpha, Beta, Centauri, whatever.
So this particular one is called Zeta Halo.
Zeta.
Okay.
So having Craig just walking around doing Craig things on Zeta Halo would be totally fine on my book.
Oh, and then you know what can happen? He breaks the Zeta Halo in half and just throws them across the universe.
That's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
We're way off track here.
That is amazing.
The final Easter egg that I need to mention, and probably the most awesomest one of all, right, is referencing the god of Zeta Halo. Okay. This was an Easter egg that was found by
God. What the hell?
X Garbit on YouTube. Okay, so I'm giving you props X Garbit on YouTube.
Yeah.
Using the grapple shot ability to climb up a tunnel, he found a tiny tunnel in the ceiling in a cave. Okay, that led to the biggest discovery probably in the Halo universe. It rocks everything from the Covenant all the way down to the Forerunners, and it predates everything. What he did when he found this secret tunnel,
why do I feel like this is a troll?
Hideout,
this is a troll.
Was a bunch of grunts.
Yes, it's a troll.
Okay, no, it's not a troll. It's not a troll. A bunch of grunts surrounding this object, which is the god of Zeta Halo, worshiping the object. Now, what's the object, you say? A giant sandwich.
It's a troll. I called it. Oh my gosh.
That is giant insane. Sandwich being worshipped by the grunts.
Let's go.
On Zeta Halo.
Let's go.
All hail the mighty large sandwich.
Yo. Craig's there.
Thoughts?
Yo.
That's too much now. I absolutely hate that. Because now that just tells me they don't even take this game seriously.
Yeah, but it's like...
I don't like that.
You remember Gary's
really
Mods or whatever?
Okay, this isn't Gary's Mods. This is Halo.
But it's kind of cool. Like,
no, it's not. That doesn't belong in a Halo game.
Does an alien belong in GTA 5?
The large sandwich looks
like...
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
GTA embraces the weird.
And so is Halo.
No, that's not their thing.
Who's to say a Zeta god? Who's to say the god of a Zeta Halo can't be a sandwich?
The Forerunners.
And it's not just any sandwich. It does look like it's a grilled sandwich because it has some burn marks on the top of the bread.
Is that a ham and cheese?
It looks like a ham and cheese with lettuce, tomatoes, and onions.
Damn, bro.
All hail the mighty large sandwich.
Why can't that be
of Zeta Halo?
Why can't it be a thing? That is amazing.
So there you go. Here's another thing that you can find the Molinear armor near the tower that AJ went first and found that it was sparsely defended. So they are things that you can find. And throughout the game, you're going to find different, especially when you fight. There is another thing that you do. You do fight specific enemies. It's almost like warlords. The warlords feature in Shadow of Mordor, Lord of the Rings, those Lord of the Rings games. So when you do fight them, they do drop special weapons. They're basically just weapons, but with a different color scheme that you can now use in multiplayer. So there's that. But basically,
at least
that's
they're giving you something.
Yeah, there you go.
God.
So basically, that's Halo campaign in a nutshell. You guys seem to like it, right? For the most part,
I like it.
Eli is really, really on the fence. He's
I
teetering.
like multiplayer.
Get it.
Okay.
And not
Get that
anything
sense of
else.
Halo.
Not Battle Pass. It's not Battle Pass. I don't like campaign.
Yeah, because I'm not even gonna get into it anymore.
It doesn't hook me though. It doesn't. And weapon is kind of boring. Although I can see how the concept can be interesting if you followed like the original games, I guess. Sort of.
But
it's still boring.
As you go along in the game, she gets more interesting.
Yeah, that we still haven't. I haven't even really been through it either. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
But that's basically Halo campaign. I think Halo Infinite is a Jekyll and Hyde right now in terms of its offerings. The multiplayer is not well received by the Halo community, but it does seem that the Halo campaign, a lot of people are enjoying it. So there's that.
Okay.
All right. So on that note, we are going to wrap up our episode today, our CrossGen Get Geek crossover. And
Cross Geek.
Get Gen.
Or Get Gen.
Yes, Get Gen.
Cross Geek. I like that.
We're the Cross Geners.
Cross. Oh no!
Yes.
No! Stop that.
That is amazing. Yes,
The
Cross
Geek
Geners.
Cross. What was it? The Cross Geek. I think it was. Yeah,
Cross-
there you go.
Cross
Geekers.
Geekers.
Better, much better.
Cross Geners. Get Geekers.
Get Jenners.
Get Geners.
What
What
the
the hell?
All right. Anyway, like I said, on that note, we will be back next week with another set of episodes. Hopefully, CrossGen and Get Geek separated so we can get back to our normal schedule. But until then, we'd like to thank you for joining us on this journey. My name is Walt.
Forever Covenant AJ.
Sergeant Eli. No, that sounds horrible. What do they call them? It's not the. I know they had like a name. I mean, there was like a
What are you
Spartan
talking
team.
about?
There are like different Spartan teams, right? And then they
Yeah,
had
that was
the-
something they introduced in Halo 4 and 5.
I forgot.
Latest.
I forgot what it was. But anyway. It's Escaron Eli. Escarum Eli. Yeah, Escharon.
Oh, you know what? Escharon. Yeah, you're actually right.
Oh, I was right.
No, you said Escharon.
No,
Why are you saying
before.
Escharon? Stop saying Escharon.
Like a god, I was right.
It's not a Chicharron.
Ultimately predicting everything.
Yeah, okay.
Ash.
Yes, Escharon.
Ash. Ash.
Escharon.
Set a fire in your heart. Bare your fangs. Fight hard.
You.
And don't will die.
Escharon.
Will.
You put that way too close to the mic. People are gonna be wondering what the hell just happened. All they're hearing is oh. But whatever.
There it is.
So
So
that's-
until then.
Yeah. May our flies
Yes.
crossed into the spider's
This
webs
ending,
again.
this ending is
You're
a trap.
dying.
May
You're
our
dying.
energy swords cross.
This ending is a trap. They think we're the flies.
I thought you were
but
impersonating
we're the spider.
Admiral Akbar for a second. For real though. Oh my God.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
All right.
But
May our energy swords
swords
clash again.
or maybe
Gravity hammers.
No, that would like cause like your brains would be like
It'd be a
turn to
shockwave
mush.
that knocks both people back, and that will probably scramble their brains depending
Yeah.
on what they are.
but energy swords. Yeah, fair energy swords cause you know
Sounds good.
thing.
All right. Later, people.